Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Sprites of Life podcast. I'm Lucas.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Don.
So glad to have you guys all listening. Glad to have you guys here. Chris, Don, how you doing? Good?
Pretty good, pretty good. Yeah, I went to a friend's wedding over the weekend and then got some exciting news that we'll talk about shortly.
Okay. Chris, you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. I kind
Oh,
of
also,
want
I just want
to.
to say that I had an excellent sandwich the other day too.
Was it a pub? Was it a pub sub?
No, it was at this little like cafe thing near the wedding.
Uh,
It was like yeah, it was like one of the best Cuban sandwiches I've ever had.
we are not
Okay, where
sponsored
what
by pub
town was
subs.
this in?
Deltona, Florida.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say outside of Florida. I'll
No,
see to that.
Don, when are you working on our pub sub sponsorship?
We gotta
I
get
gotta
that
get back
money.
after that.
Yo, I will say whatever they want me to say if we can get that pub sub sponsorship. I'll do whatever they need me to do. I will
No,
do
not
whatever needs to be
Publix,
done.
just the subs.
Just the
Just the
sub, no.
sub.
The rest of the store can rot. I just want the
Hey,
sandwich.
now I like the BOGOs.
Same, but like in comparison, you can have the BOGOs or the chicken tender sub. I'm going for the sub.
I like
I
the
don't know
chicken cordon bleu sub.
for the
It's a good.
BOGOs. I don't know what it's like in Florida, but in North Carolina, it's like there's all the signs buy one get one free, but the laws say that you can't do that. You have to offer everything at like the same price. So it's buy one get one free. It's also buy one at 50% off.
Unsandwich related question for y'all. And yes, I am keeping the tangent in when I'm editing this. Were you a Mario kid or a Sonic kid?
I think I was originally a Sonic kid because I was born literally 1990 and Sega came out what like 92,
91.
91. So Sega came out in 91 and N64 came out in 96. Yeah.
Close enough.
Yeah, yeah. So like the first system I ever really played was a Sega.
Okay.
So I was very much a Sonic kid. I then I've moved on to Nintendo and Mario and all that, but in my early years, Sonic was one of the first games I played.
Mm-hmm. Don?
I guess Mario. I didn't have a Nintendo main like console. I had I had a classic game like original Game Boy. But of those guys, I think my first one was Mario for the Game Boy Advance. Super Mario World 3
Mm,
maybe, I think it was.
all right. I
So I
was
guess
a
Mario,
Mario
I didn't
kid.
have a yeah, my first Nintendo console, like physical console was a GameCube.
I mean, I was a Mario kid, but I always remember that the dentist always had Sonic running and playing. And so every time I was going to get my teeth cleaned, I'd get to play this game I didn't own. I always remember it. And
Bum bum
I
bum
figured we'd
ba
cut.
na na na.
I mean, the music, let's be honest, is absolutely fire. And we're going to be talking about Sonic today because we talked about Mario. And someone in our Discord was saying, suggested you should talk about Sonic. And you know what? We were kind of busy this week. We wanted something super easy to talk about. I wanted to talk about Sonic specifically because Sonic has like so much impact and so many ups and downs in gaming. Plus, it's a game filled with animals, and any game filled with animals I can talk about for hours, and you guys know that very well.
And
So,
Dr. Eggman is the more mainstream Impossible Creatures.
yeah, no, Oh my God, no, Doctor Eggman probably like has like the creator of that game like is just Doctor Eggman, just like with another mustache on top of his mustache. All right. So first off, I had some pretty funny science news. It's more like a continuation. Of like 2 weeks ago or so, we talked about how the astronauts came back after their harrowing mission. How Boeing accidentally trapped astronauts up there for 8 months when it was supposed to be 8 days. Um. Okay, so the timeline was they got back to Earth. They've been quarantined, checked up, checked their medicine, all that stuff. Um, what do you think when a bunch of reporters are asking the question, what do you think they said to the reporters when they were asked about their mission?
It was normal. We are humans. We are glad to be home and do human things.
Bleep bleep blorp beep blorp.
Honestly, it's the goofy meme of I'd do it again. They literally said, "Oh, we do it again."
I guess it's kind of cool though.
it I mean, it's pretty metal. I don't think I could have survived 8 days, let alone 8 months in space, even in their physical shape. But like, it's absolutely wild that they spent basically 9 months in space. And instead of like, no, I'm gonna go take a break or not anything, it's just like, nah, do it again. Like astronauts are 100% built different, which is why I don't understand the people who want to live in space so bad. Like they're usually like super rich people who've never had an inconvenience in their adult lives. And so what are you like telling them they have to live in this tube and eat paste and like do science all day instead of like lounge around and do nothing?
The important thing, Lucas, in the story is that the reporters weren't asking the real questions.
Hmm.
They didn't ask which one of them brought the symbiote back.
All of a sudden, like in the background, like is that Eminem?
But what if we ate the reporter?
That's actually become a common meme in when you play Mario Rival Marvel Rivals. You get like a Venom thing, but I hear Eminem coming. I love I, I love that to become a meme. We do have some gaming news. It's pretty fun. Don, you want to tell us some cool stuff? I know Pokemon. I just heard about it. They
Well,
got an update.
minor disclaimer first, Lucas.
Mm-hmm.
We are recording this episode one day before, but approximately 12 hours before the Switch 2 Nintendo Direct. So we will not be talking about that this week.
Yeah, we'll save that for 2 weeks when everyone else is already over speculated and we're picking up the crumbs.
Yeah.
Um, but from Pokemon news, Don, what do we got?
We have the announcement that everyone's been moderately excited for to very excited for to dreading. We now know Regulation I will be our first double restricted format. Starting May 1st, that means you're allowed 2 of the big box legendary guys. Your other than Crystal, I suppose. But your Rayquazas, your Calyrexes, things like that. You're not allowed 2 per team instead of 1. So teams are really going to center around those 2 big guys. And it's going to run from May till August, so it will be this year's official Worlds format, which is
Oh wow.
Isn't that also traditionally like the last before the new like cycle?
yeah, but we've already done that. I think we've sort of already just had that occur with Sorry that it is if there's a new game coming out, and I don't think there will be. I think we're gonna have more Scarlet and Violet, because on the Switch 2 potentially. We do have the Unova new what is it? Pokemon ZA coming out later this year.
Yeah.
But given the combat style in that, I don't foresee it being a part of the main. It's not going to be the competitive game. I would expect that we're going to continue to see just new regulation changes and stuff like that. I am a little bummed. I think 3 of the last 4 Worlds formats have been restricted formats. And that's kind of annoying. And the last time we had a regional dex format was all the way back in 2017, which I like the restricteds and they're fun, but I do think it's kind of some of the lower power level formats, a lot of cool stuff shine through.
I think it lets you be a little more creative instead of now where honestly I literally saw that announcement. It's like I just want to get Regieleki and Koraidon on the same team and just zap
You've
people to
always been
death.
able to do that.
Yes, but now I can have like a Groudon in the back if that fails miserably.
Don't put Groudon there.
Why not? He's
Because
fine.
it's going to be you take your horse of choice, and then you put another thing next to your horse.
More horse.
Is that how it's done? That's how it's supposed to be, huh?
That is exactly how it works. That's the correct
Okay,
way
so
to
horse
play
and
it.
bear is okay. Horse and bear works.
Which bear?
It doesn't matter.
The bear's always good.
Yeah,
Every
okay,
bear is
exactly.
good.
Yeah, just
But
anything.
you could already do that. It's not
So what if I put whale next to horse?
that's going to be really good.
Okay, whale
Either
next to
horse.
horse, good. Okay, whale next to horrific sunbird from Kanto, from the Johto region.
Don't do that.
That's
Okay.
bad. I know that's bad.
Okay, bad move. Okay, so Okay, I'm starting to get the picture now. Anything good next to horse is great. Horse alone,
Yeah, and
still
I do think we're going to see some very cool restricteds
good.
combos come out, and I also think there's going to be a lot of interesting innovation in
Who's gonna
terms
make
of
toxic chain work?
I mean, you could. I think there's going to be like I mean, your team slots are going to be kind of necessary to enable your 2 restricteds, but there being 2, I think the restricteds that have a lot of utility are really going to get a big bonus. Things like Lunala, Zamazenta are I think are really going to benefit from this, since not only are they offensively strong, I think we might see something like a Solgaleo creep into usage, or like one of the Necrozmas.
Why would you
It'll
use that?
it'll
Why would you use Lunala when you can use Duskwing Lunala?
Lunala is faster and it has the Shadow Shield ability, so it's like multi-scale.
Don't use sense, Don.
I like
Well,
Lunala.
No,
in,
I know.
in any case, outside of Pokemon news, we did get announcements that they are planning, they actually are doing it. March 26, 2027, they're going to release a Legend of Zelda movie in live
Uh,
action.
I appreciate that they're like definitely 2 years from now.
Yeah, give us some time. I'm looking up Wes Ball, the film director. I'm trying to see the movies he's made. Okay, so this guy made Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes,
Okay,
and
good start.
he made the Maze Runner series,
Okay, I am
and
not
that's
unfamiliar, but I know they did well.
yeah, that's basically it. Those are the 2 things that matter to this. He made
Dude, Kingdom
Maze
of the
Runner and he
Planet of
made
the
Kingdom of the
Apes.
Planet of the Apes.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes was awesome.
A lot of people are like, "Who should we cast? Who should we cast?" And I'm at this point, I'm just like, "No, no, no." I honestly, I don't know if this is one of those few Nintendo properties where I'm like, live action might be okay.
Yeah.
Not like what's gonna happen with Minecraft when with this like, in 3 days. That's probably not gonna do well. I mean, critically.
Isn't it already out?
April 4th.
April 4th. Oh, okay, okay.
April 4th is coming out. So when this episode drops, it'll also drop. So you can do both if you want. I know friends who are watching it just to meme on it, and honestly, kids are gonna love the Minecraft movie. But Legend of Zelda, hey, if they put on a good showing, you never know. It might
I'm
actually be pretty.
deeply concerned.
Who
I
should
mean,
play Tingle?
Danny
oh,
DeVito.
Danny DeVito, yeah,
That's our fan cast.
yeah. No, I don't. Either that or you know
But
what,
he
Jack
plays him
Black.
like Frank.
Oh god, yeah, it's just Frank. It is just Frank as Tingle.
Yeah, like I'm just like, especially the version of Tingle on that little island in Wind Waker. We have to bring him the map piece like 7 times, and he charges you an obscene amount of money. That seems like an Always Sunny scheme.
Oh my god. I'm trying to think of more obscene, random characters to like. I don't care who plays Link, Zelda, or Ganondorf. Get me Idris Elba to play the boat in Wind Waker.
Yeah. Or what are
Get
the
me.
what are the witches? The time witches from Ocarina of Time?
Oh yeah, them.
Get Rebel Wilson and oh, I forget his name. Basically the duo from Bridesmaids.
Oh, that'd be good. Oh god, I'm trying to think. Oh, what's his face? Shoot. Oh, even better. Ron Perlman is the boat. Just play it like Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Not Ron Perlman. What's his face? Guy who played Ron Swanson. What's his name?
Ron Swanson. Nick Offerman.
Nick
Yeah.
Opperman should play the King of Hyrule and/or the boat. I don't care. That's
It
what I
was
want.
Rebel Wilson and Matt Lucas. Those are my time witches.
Yeah, no, they're solid. I think either way.
We're talking about 2 different games here. I talking about the boat, and I was very confused.
I don't
for a
care what
while.
they do. I just want the boat. We don't even know what game they're basing it on. Like we just know that it's Legend of Zelda. There've been so many like games in the series. Like it's crazy.
If it's chronological, it's got to be Skyward Sword, right? I think Skyward Sword is technically the first.
Oh, someone's got to play Goose.
Yes, because it's the forging of the
Yeah.
Master
Yeah.
Sword.
Oh well. Anyway, we'll talk about this more in 2 years.
I don't know how you could do it because like the timeline gets real wild after a while with
Yeah.
Zelda timeline.
I mean,
Or
look.
I think the most fun casting is going to be the Gorons.
Oh Lord, that sounds like a good time.
Just get the WWE.
All right. We'll table this for like a year and a half. We'll let them cook. We will let Wes Ball cook. For now,
The ball is in his court.
Well said.
all right. I want to preface this by saying this is not an episode on like all of Sonic lore. This is not an episode on all of like the Sonic game development. There's other YouTube channels for that. We're just going to take a quick look at it before we talk about the biology stuff, because honestly, of all the gaming franchises, there is no other franchise that has diversified more successfully than Sonic, in my opinion. Like in terms of other forms of media, aside from Pokemon. Do you know how many do you know how many Sonic games there are? Like games that feature Sonic?
If it started in 90,
At least
I
7.
would say 12.
Around 100. I had to check twice.
Okay, that's fun.
Like that includes things like the Sonic Olympic Games and Sonic Racing and all. It's a lot. There are 10 different comic series, 7 TV shows, and 3 pretty great movies.
The movies are pretty solid.
Yeah, no. The fact that they put "Live and Learn," that song in Sonic 3, like they knew what they were doing. They also made Shadow Love Latinas, which is very much like, oh god, these guys definitely know what they're doing. Again, the less we say about the art, the safer we are, because Sonic fans are a entire terrifying breed of people. They scare me just a little bit. But 1991, we got our first Sonic game. It shipped with the Genesis and single-handedly launched the system to compete with the NES. At that point, there really wasn't anything to compete with Mario, but kind of like how Wii Sports helped sell the Wii, the Sonic games helped sell the Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, there was no game quite like Sonic at the time. Like in 2D space, Sonic games had this weird thing where yes, you're fast, but it's controlled speed. And that's a gameplay mechanic that Sonic fans and people who've played those games, like that's really cool. That's not something anyone can just do.
You got it. One might say that you gotta go fast.
Yeah, you got to go fast.
I think that speaks to Lucas. If you look at like the games of that time, how advanced the like level designs were, because you can only go so fast if you are like in tune with like how the level is designed. Like if you are building momentum the way that you're supposed to, you can zip through those levels.
Oh yeah, like a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And Sonic was fine. Sonic 1, Sonic 2 did it great. Their games were popular. It was when they started getting into the 3D space that things got rough. Sonic Adventure was, I believe, the first, if not one of the first 3D games. It was definitely the big one, and it was on the Dreamcast, I believe. And it ran like crap. It didn't look that great, and it was pretty wonky. But I will say I have a very soft space in my heart for Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. Have either of you played Sonic Adventure 2 Battle?
I'm gonna be honest,
I
my
have
Sonic
not.
days ended at pretty much after 2.
Oh my god, that's where you get City Escape though. That's where you get like the Crush 40 blasting like junk butt rock over like just awesome scenes of you running away from a car while skateboarding down the San Francisco streets. It's insane. Like it was I have a very soft place in my heart for Sonic Adventure 2 Battle because of just how much fun I had playing it as a kid, but also that was the game where we got Shadow the Hedgehog. Now, through the comics and the movie, the Sonic TV shows and all that gaming stuff, they've added characters, they've thrown different things at the wall. The comics have done it. Shadow was like peak 2000s energy. Like it everything about like the aughts of like that emo cringe that comes around to being cool again.
Is that the one? Is that no? That's different than the one. What about the one where he turns into a
So that
werehog?
is a
Which one's
different.
that
That
one?
is further in. Like that is
I remember those. I remember those
yeah,
commercials.
no, that was another problem that they had to deal with. But Shadow kind of reinforced a lot of people's tastes in Sonic, at least in my age demographic when I was a kid, because before, oh, Sonic is kind of a kid's game of sort. But then you have Shadow, who just whips out a gun and starts shooting at things. And like he's edgy and he doesn't need any friends and he's powerful and he can stop time because he's so cool. Like, listen, if you were a middle schooler in the mid 2000s, that's the coolest thing you've ever seen in your life. Um, there's arguably you could say he's the most impactful character added to Sonic next to Tails. But
More than Knuckles?
I would say
Well, now from a meme, I think a meme standpoint, Knuckles is probably the next highest.
yes, I would put Sonic shadow Knuckles in terms of like cultural impact to the video game world. Like it's like the entire Sonic 3 movie was sold off the fact of Shadow though. Like there was like there's no way you can top Sonic 2. You brought Knuckles in. Like, oh really? Snaps fingers. Keanu Reeves comes out of the shadows, just like, I bet we can. Dude, they sold it. But after that, they eventually made the game. Fans noticed Sonic 06. Have either of you heard of what happened on that game?
No.
It was really bad.
It was real bad. Like it was a horrific mess. At the same time it came out was also the same year that Mario Galaxy came out. And
Oh,
so
Oh,
I
that's
can see how
unfortunate
that would go
for them.
poorly.
the Sonic fans had to contend with the fact that the Mario fans were like eaten, and the game was nuts. It was not only poorly written, it also didn't run. They had to cut so much from the game. The game was glitched out of its mind, and weirdly enough, they had Sonic like making out with a human woman, and that was yeah.
That's a choice.
It is a choice. It
As long as he's happy.
it basically started a long string of like mid to mediocre games by just critics' perspective. There's always going to be fans of games, even if you're not fans of them. But looking at the critical score, like you mentioned, the Sonic Werewolf one didn't do very well. There were different games that eventually, I mean, they had the one that he was Sonic going back in time in Knighthood. There was one Sonic was going into Arabian Night. They all tried functioning in a 3D space. They never could quite catch the magic. Now, it's been a roller coaster because where there were games that were terrible, there were also games like Sonic Racing, which was a Mario Kart style game that was
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, that's the one with the bird people,
oh, that's
right?
Sonic Rides. That's a different one. That's one where they're skateboarding. And that's
Oh,
still
well, that
it's
one's
cool.
cool.
Yeah, even if it's not critically receptive, some of them were just kind of cool. I know a friend of mine who actually loves that one. She's a cosplayer. I hang out with at Dragon Con. She loves those games. We had Sonic Mania, which was like a revival to the glory days of Sonic, where it's 2D and that got really well. But meanwhile, every now and again they'll also drop, Sonic Boom, which was like Sonic 06. Exactly, like just terribly run, broken. Like people were literally picking apart the opening scene and seeing how poorly it was animated and done. And then you have Sonic Forces. I, do you remember? Does anyone here remember Sonic Forces?
I remember that
No.
I think that one did not do great.
I'm gonna just post a screenshot. This was the one that let you create your own character, your own Sonic persona.
I see how that could have caused problems.
Yeah. This is what happens when you listen to the wrong group of fans because there are a lot of people who like Sonic a bit too much to the point where even the franchise recognizes it. And I'll get to that in a second. But Sonic Forces was a horrible idea because it let the fans too much, like, or at least the wrong group. The Sonic movies have been the one true saving grace of the franchise in recent years. Like, yes,
I still haven't seen any of them, but I've heard so many good things about
they
them
have
all.
their problems, but I think because we cyberbullied a company into actually listening to like, hey, your design sucks.
Yeah, bullying works, everyone. That's the takeaway.
Stop
It's
that.
good.
I'm not getting in trouble for you. Bullying companies is fine. Don't bully individual people. That's wrong. Bully companies. They're not actually people.
What if they use Muck Smeargle?
These people actually listened and saw that what they made sucked. And they put something together that people actually liked.
I am still unconvinced that they didn't intentionally make it look like crap to create an online fervor to generate buzz about the movie because that change happened so fast.
I'm sure they had it as backup. Whether that's purposeful, they thought they were going to use it. I'm sure they had something rendered already just in case. But every now and again, you realize that corporate executives don't know what they're talking about. And so
Is
this
my
might have been what they
conspiracy.
needed to like, hey, buddy, you want to take a look at the reaction? Yeah, let me use the real one. But they had to take an extra 6 months to make it, but it was worth it. They have a very popular franchise now. And honestly, I'm happy. I know people now who have kids and their kids have never touched a Sonic game, but they love Sonic. They love him so much. I see so many kids at work who are walking with Sonic shirts and they have their Sonic toys, and I'm glad that the franchise has found new life. Weirdly enough, while the Sonic Generations game and games like Sonic Mania came to like, Sonic Frontiers was meh. Sonic Boom was a terrible game, but the show that came out of it has so much meme material that it's being seen all over the internet. Again, it's become popular as like a cult classic almost because so much of the show just makes for excellent memes. So I'm glad. I'm glad that Sonic stuck around. I'm glad that through all the tumultuous creation process of this franchise that they've still been able to, put out something. I don't know. I'm nostalgic. This game series is older than I am, but I'm happy that it's popular again. The fans still freak me out. In any case,
What major video game franchise doesn't have fans that freak us out?
hang on, no, I can answer this one.
Armored Core.
Helldivers. Helldivers, they tend to be loud, but pretty cute. Oh, the Monster Hunter community generally will actually help you when you're in trouble.
I knew a dude in college that ruined his life by playing too much Monster Hunter.
That's his own fault. If he'd asked for help.
And he kind of freaked me out a little bit.
In any case, I kind of want to just talk about some fun science stuff because the thing about when you put animals in your game, it lets me have a chance to talk more about them. And honestly, I kind of want to give Sonic some buffs and a couple of his friends some buffs because, well, they could use them. There's some things that they kind of took out for realism's sake, but no, if you put them back in, they'd be better characters. But first, we got to talk about Eggman, Dr. Robotnik itself, because if you know anything about the games, the enemies you're fighting are the Badniks. I'm gonna grab a picture of them really quickly. The Badniks are the little robot critters that the Doc has been putting together to try and kill Sonic and his friends. So I'll grab this one really quickly. Yeah, these little dudes. And you gotta beat them up, crack them open.
Those are a lot sillier than I would have thought.
No, they are silly. What's powering them?
Animals?
Oh yeah. Basically, Eggman's plan was to take animals, shove them into your robots, and use their quote unquote life energy to power the robots like a battery.
Tracks. Good
That's how you
move.
do
Yeah,
it.
I mean, they're
The science really seems solid to me there.
okay. So back in the 90s, this was like fun, silly sci-fi nonsense. But I do want to point out that we've technically been getting animals to like power or control robots or at least control machinery for a while. There was a group of scientists who worked on pigeons being put in a bomb and helped them guide the bomb. Like the first guided bombs were thought to be used with pigeons. That's great.
There was the pigeons. They use bees to detect bombs in like airports now. It's like there's like a bomb sniffing gun that's full of bees.
We
You
have
think I'm making it up, but like look it up. It's hard to describe exactly how it works, but it's the most made up sounding thing ever.
okay. I'm typing into Google now, so I'm typing in bee gun. What else should I be adding?
Like bomb sniffing bee gun.
Okay, I'm typing in bomb sniffing bee gun. Let's see what I get out of this. Huh. You know, I knew it would be hard to describe. There it is. That is a bomb sniffing bee gun. I'll be damned. Huh. But the point remains valid. Even the idea of animals like controlling robots and doing their own thing has kind of popped off a little bit because you had the rats. Have you guys heard about the rats that drive RC cars?
Mm-mm.
So there was a group of scientists who were testing to see if rats could drive RC cars for an experiment. There's a picture of one now. They ran into a fun little surprise in that the rats like it.
Who wouldn't like that?
Well, yeah, no, you put the rats in the car, and they noticed that the rats calmed down and were a lot more chill when they had access to their little cars. They seem to, as far as the word "like" can be used for another animal, they seem to like it. Just driving around.
Rats crave the open road.
Yeah. Life is
me-
a highway.
Boy, Ratatouille and Cars put together really is quite the sequel I didn't expect from Pixar. On the other hand, in real life, we had the people who decided to give snakes legs again. And they
What?
built that.
Oh yeah,
I've seen that video. He
yeah.
seems like he's having a nice
Oh
time.
yeah, no, the snake just kind of moves and the machine operates it. Yeah, no, there was someone who mixed that with Warhammer 40K speech, and it's like, the moment I understood the weakness of my flesh, it disgusted me. It's like the whole quote, like with dark music around it. This is peak Adeptus Mechanicus behavior to get your limbs replaced with robot parts. That's pretty cool. But as far as Eggman goes, like he was technically right. You can use animals to power and move your stuff. You can't really use their bioessence, but hey, they are working on a robot that feeds off biomass in order to move. So, we're getting there, Eggman. That one's going to be a little bit more terrifying. But I'm glad to know that Robotnik contributed to B Guns, RC Rat Race, and Snakes with Legs. Good job. But on to Sonic. Sonic the Hedgehog is fast. That's about it. But we could give him more powers. I'm just saying because hedgehogs are a lot tougher than people think they are. So there are about 17 species of hedgehog left in the world. They are found in almost every continent. There was one in North America, but they've since gone extinct. They honestly they're weird. I don't know any others to describe a hedgehog because they have those protective spines all over their body to protect predators. They're able to curl up into a ball to deal with it. They also have one little feature I didn't realize until I started doing the research on this. I have to find the picture that I saved. Yes, this is here it is. So when you look at a hedgehog, you would think it's mostly body, but nope, it's basically legs.
90% legs.
Look at the legs on this thing. Just terrifying stuff.
I was
Yeah, my sister used to have a hedgehog.
Really? What was it like?
Yep. It was evil.
Oh,
and
so it was Shadow.
It's like one of my friends from college. She had a hedgehog, and it was very sweet.
Okay.
And I took it home to take care of it over break. Believe it was an African pygmy hedgehog.
Mhm.
But I took it home to take care of it over break, and then it turned out to like it was so nice. My family decided to get one, and my sister got one, and it had every all the stuff you would need for optimal hedgehog care. And hers was not very sweet,
Yeah.
and was in fact would like angrily hiss when you were so much as set foot in the room it lived in.
Yeah. Hedgehogs are not recommended as pets by a lot of people because of that nature. I think you might have gotten one of the outliers with the first one. What's neat
Yeah.
though, and something that I always found very upsetting, is that in Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic cannot swim, but hedgehogs are actually able to swim. I understand design mechanic, got to keep you from going too far and too fast. It's a hazard, but you should have just replaced it with acid because hedgehogs can swim. They're surprisingly good at it because of those ridiculously long legs.
I like how you can't swim, but there are
And they
you
float
you
anyway.
can go
Their
underwater.
quills are full of air.
They're
There are
what?
underwater levels in the first Sonic.
Yeah, but like eventually, like you have to like get air somehow, right?
I mean, yeah, you need air. Hedgehogs would need air.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm just saying, it's still weird that they made him like oh my god, water, and they've made fun of it for years that he can't actually swim. In Sonic Boom, the game was so bad that if you even touched water, you died. Like literally, just touch death, just immediate. It was just ran that poorly. The other thing I always love to point out about hedgehogs is that they are immune to snake venom, specific snake venom. There was a paper that studied the effects of the European viper's venom on hedgehogs, and it turns out there's something in their blood that just stops it from affecting, making them one of the few animals that is naturally resistant to snake venom, which is really
Isn't
cool.
isn't snake venom a protein?
Depends on what proteins, though. Snake
Yeah.
venom is not a monolith. There's multiple different types and multiple different effects. Usually it attacks the nervous system, but others can do other damage or take longer or take slower or not affect your system. Hedgehogs are at least immune to some snake venom. Also, for all of our American listeners, I do want to point out that Shadow's gun is a real gun in the game. It's an M1911A1. So there's that.
He goes fast and he has a gun.
Yeah, that's basically how you sell it to the youth. Knuckles, on the other hand, I don't know. Do you think the Sonic creators actually knew what an Echidna was when they made this character?
I honestly don't know.
I think they
'Cause,
barely knew
he
what
doesn't have a lot of echidna
they
traits.
barely knew what a hedgehog was.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean,
I don't think they even really knew what a man was, given Eggman's
You're-
everything.
yes, this is what people look like, right? I don't know, man. Maybe I don't know. Just draw him like an egg. He's an Eggman. Draw the egg.
Eggman, Eggman.
So Knuckles the Echidna. First off, echidnas are probably one of the weirdest groups of mammals on the planet. Their closest living relatives are platypus, like
Monotremes.
monotremes, the weirdest group of mammals left on the planet. There used to be a lot more of them about 160 million years ago, but since then, that model has gone out of fashion to what we are. Um, Monotremes do the weird thing where they not only lay eggs, but they also have a pouch where they keep the egg. And then when the egg hatches, it still produces milk, but it's not milk from a nipple. It's basically oozes out from one specific spot in the body. So it's unpleasant.
That's the
Like
milk spot.
I mean, like when people are raising them, if an echidna falls out of its pouch, you are able to raise it to adulthood. And when they're feeding these animals, normally when you're feeding a baby animal, you have to like give them a bottle to suckle on in some way, or you got to give them a little bits of food to do. In this case, they're literally taking a dropper, putting it in their hand, and like making a milk puddle for them to drink out of, because that's how they feed. It's just awful. I could see why they're no longer
Puddle
fat.
drinkers.
Yeah, they drink from a milk puddle. Like that's just how they've survived, and they're good at it. They've survived this long. So, echidnas do have quills, very much like a hedgehog, but it's weird because they aren't related at all. So hedgehogs and echidnas are a great example of convergent evolution. Animals that are not even close related to each other, but still pick up some characteristics. They also share characteristics with anteaters. They have a very long tongue and they use it to feed on insects. They are very good at surviving in the Australian wilderness, and if they need to, they can curl up into a large spiny squat ball, and they can even kind of bend and turn to point the spines in different directions. So they are very effective at surviving in these regions. There's very few things that'll actually try and hurt them. Um, Knuckles, being a brawler by nature, always seems to be looking for a fight, always kind of dumb. These animals, I'd give them the dumb. They're a little dumb, but that's fine. At the same time, they're also not really like offensive. Like you're not going to take an echidna and have it actively be aggressive. It's to the point where, okay, you remember that platypuses have a venomous spur, like the males do whenever it's mating season.
Yeah.
So that doesn't work anymore for them. They have the spur, they have it, but it doesn't work. Like it doesn't have like it releases a smell more so for mating than it does a toxin. So they're not even able to be as aggressive as a platypus. It's a very gross, weird creature at this point. They also blow mucus out of their nose.
Nice.
Oh yeah, I think so. Well, the
I do.
mucus is
This like echidnas look like they are very wise.
yeah, they're just
Yeah, they're very yeah.
yeah. Weirdly enough, when they blow the mucusy bubbles, they're meant to pop, and then when they pop, the mucus helps cool them down. I would I think it would be hilarious if in the middle of a game, like no one's looking, Knuckles just like blows a snot bubble and just like, all right, let me cool down after this workout while nobody's watching. A little gross, but it would be accurate. I'm no game designer, but I think it would be funny.
Notes for next game: snot
No,
bubbles.
yeah, notes for next game. Well, it's also an anime trope to like blow a snot bubble when you're sleeping, like it's an old school one, and then when it pops, then you're like waking up. So it's not too far out of the realm of possibility. Remember, this was made by Japan, so it can have some stuff. Um, Honestly, Knuckles is fine as a character. They don't know anything about echidnas, like Don said, but at least they made someone engaging and fun. But one last thing I will add about Knuckles' design, you know, he has a kind of like a sharper nose to it. Like if you look at Knuckles, like his nose seems like it'd be stronger. Echidnas can actually dig with their nose, which is not something other
Yeah,
animals.
I mean, aren't they eat ants, right?
They do eat ants, but they can actually dig into the dirt with their nose, like in order to burrow and push through all the sediment. Like if you look at their skull, it's bony right there at the nose, whereas ours is just like flesh and cartilage. Theirs actually can penetrate and push through the dirt to help look for food, which is pretty cool. I think that's a nice little touch. The last one I wanted to bring up, simply because there's too many of them to go into in one episode, so we kind of wanted to space it out. Rouge the Bat. What are your thoughts on Rouge the Bat?
Um,
I cannot say I'm familiar with this.
yeah,
dude.
You
I
don't know who Rouge the Bat? Wow, you really
was
did step out.
I was
1 second.
unfamiliar.
No, it's okay. I'm gonna put this character on the screen.
Wait, is it the white bat?
It is
And
the
there's like
white
art.
bat. Yes,
Yeah, I've seen memes and things of such natures.
yeah, memes and things is right. Yeah, that's a character for you. There, that's the times that was also in Sonic Adventure 2 when they were trying to appeal to like the younger hip generation. Um, so there was an interview that came to light fairly recently to me, where when they were making this character, they wanted to make her cool and seductive, and at the time, Jennifer Lopez, J-Lo, was super popular in Japan. So canonically, Rouge the Bat is Latina, and canonically, she's based off of J-Lo specifically.
Jenny from the block.
How about that?
Yeah, that is fantastic lore, and that's hilarious. But yeah, Rouge the Bat is a very popular character in the game, so much so that when the director of Sonic 3, the creators, were talking and they were asked, why didn't you put Rouge the Bat in the movie? One of their comments was like, I didn't want to awaken something in those kids when they went down to sit my movie. Like I was awakened as a kid. This was one of those characters for kids, the ones that made them realize that they were growing up. It was this character right here. So take with that what you will. I will say they did pretty good with her kit. If you go through all the anime and the shows and the games, she can fly, has great hearing, and can swim. These are all things bats can do. Have you ever seen a video of a bat swimming?
No, honestly,
Yeah, they sort of like it's I feel like it's similar to how a bird swims almost, right? They just sort of
Yeah,
paddle with their wings.
yeah. No, I just found a great still picture of it, just so you can get an idea, Chris. Just look at that.
it looks like he's just like gliding on the water.
Yeah, no, they are surprisingly good swimmers. They actually practice what I would call a modified butterfly swim. It's
Michael Phelps, who?
Michael Phelps. Um, one thing I also think is pretty interesting in the game is that in the first game she was in, their whole role was treasure hunting. She's supposed to go and look for treasure. She's the counterpoint to Knuckles, in the same way that Shadow is like an evil, darker Sonic. Rouge also loves shiny things and treasure, like Knuckles has the protection of the emerald, but she's basically claims all the world's gems are hers. She's basically Catwoman, but a bat based on Jennifer Lopez. So,
She's kind of like a the Honduran white bat, the one that lives in the leaves.
oh yeah, yeah, I guess she would be. Like, there are a few different species of bats that are white. So, what would that one again? The Honduran one?
The Honduran white bat, yeah, they actually will like make little they actually live in like basically under big leaves. In the forest, they'll actually pull leaves together to make like a little hidey hole. And they're tiny.
Look at this thing. Oh, it's adorable. Yeah, no, this thing is.
Looks like he dipped their nose in mustard.
Yeah, they're really stinking cute. Oh. I mean, they did a good job, mostly. They gave her all the powers a bat's supposed to have. They did mess up one thing. So in the games, when she's treasure hunting, she can jump and glide. Obviously, you can't make your character fly around if you're trying to keep things fair. You have to balance things out. But the thing is, bats can't jump at all.
They
Like,
got no ups.
no ups. And the only reason they can fly is because they can climb up an object and then swoop down and fly.
Yes.
They don't have this.
Classic
Well,
flight design.
well, they don't have the same muscle mass that a bird does in order to jump and pick off and live. For them, once they're in the air, they're really good at what they do. But when it comes to them actively flying, they need to be able to do it from a high place, hence why they're so good at hanging upside down. I will say they can actually gallop. That's actually something you can see bats do as well. They can run, and it's really cool to see them do it. But as far as Rouge the Bat goes, like, they did a really good job with making this character. Like, from an animal perspective, they did a great job. From a making people mildly uncomfortable on the internet standpoint, they also did a pretty good job. And I really do think that Sonic has a lot to. What did you? Oh God, you did find the video. I was hoping you would find this thing. Yeah, look at him.
it go.
Look at him go. I could watch this video all day. Oh my God. I can't believe you found it. Yeah, no, Bat's running. Okay, hear me out. If Rouge the Bat ran like that. Accurate? Seductive? No. Accurate? Yes. I I think there's so much you can talk about when it comes to Sonic. You can talk about everything from level design. You can talk about everything to the importance of marketing to your fans in a proper fashion. But like even the Sonic franchise knows that their fans are a little bit unhinged and will and love these characters. There was literally a episode of one of the shows where Sonic was kidnapped by a deranged fan who tied him to a bed and threatened to read his fan fiction. And the only reason he didn't do it was because he couldn't find one that was family friendly. Like this was created. They know what they created. They know the monsters unleashed. I think that with Sonic and with the characters they've created, they've done a pretty decent job. As terrible as the games can get, they've made a franchise that has kept going. And thanks to the films, we're going to keep getting Sonic games for a while. And I know fans, Sonic fans, real ones who have love for this franchise. I'm just glad I could talk a bit about it because even if it was just at a dentist office, Sonic had some real impact on me. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but it's an interesting
Sonic
franchise.
is one of those landmark franchises.
Yeah, no. When they announced Sonic was going to Smash Brothers, we all lost our minds. But I'm happy that the movies are in a decent place. I'm happy that there are new fans coming along. And hopefully, if this episode does well, we can talk more about Sonic. I can actually get a chance to play some of the games again, maybe. That would be nice to stick back to. But for now, that's all I really had. I didn't work as big on this episode as I wanted to, but I wanted to just talk a little bit from the heart more so than my notes. Questions, comments, concerns, emotional outbursts?
Go play Sonic.
Go play Sonic. Okay.
If I wanted to pick up Sonic as of right now, what would be the game you recommend as someone that hasn't played much Sonic?
Sonic Mania would be mine because it is the classic Sonic experience without any of the weird like story baggage or anything like that. It is just you're gonna play Sonic, just straight Sonic running around. 2D was where Sonic was at his best, and thanks to the update and like 2.5D graphics people are working with, they've been able to come up with some pretty great side scroll. That's the beauty of the Switch, is that it might not be powerful, but it's opened the door for so many creative ways to work around that. So yeah, if you're looking to get into Sonic, I recommend Sonic Mania. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. Have a wonderful rest of your day or night. See you guys in the next episode. Bye, everybody.